Crystal chandeliers sparkled overhead as laughter and a string quartet's gentle melody filled the Belmont Hotel's grand ballroom in downtown Boston. Everything about the wedding reception screamed wealth and privilege, from the imported roses adorning each table to the champagne that probably cost more than my monthly rent. The entire affair was meticulously arranged, tastefully extravagant, and absolutely nauseating. Before we continue with today's story, if you're enjoying what you've heard so far, please hit that subscribe button. Every new subscriber helps me keep sharing these inspiring tales that touch your day. Thank you for your support. I sat at a round table near the front, my dinner barely touched, a half-empty glass of bourbon in my hand. My sister Emma fidgeted beside me, nervously smoothing the tablecloth with her fingertips. "You doing okay?" she whispered. I exhaled slowly through my nose. "Just peachy." The man of the hour, our father, William Parker, stood by the dance floor beaming as if he hadn't set our family ablaze just months ago. His arm was wrapped possessively around the waist of his new bride, Jennifer, who had been warming his bed long before my mother took her final breath. I gripped my glass tighter, feeling my knuckles whiten. I hadn't planned on attending this farce. When the thick cream envelope with its gold-embossed lettering arrived at my apartment, I tossed it directly into the trash without a second thought. Then Emma called. "Nathan, please," she had begged, her voice breaking. "I know you hate him. I do too. But I can't face this alone." I had rubbed the bridge of my nose, feeling a headache forming. "You really want to sit through Dad marrying her?" "No," Emma had replied softly. "But if I have to suffer through it, I need you there with me." And so here I was, watching my father play the role of devoted husband to the woman who had helped destroy my family. What made it all worse was how the guests were eating it up. To them, William Parker was a respected surgeon, a loving father, a grieving widower who had miraculously found love again. They didn't know the truth. They had no idea that my father had been sneaking around with Jennifer while my mother, Eleanor Parker, was dying of pancreatic cancer, too weak to even lift her head from her pillow. Emma nudged my elbow. "Are you drinking that or just staring at it?" I blinked, realizing my fingers were still wrapped around my bourbon. I took a slow sip, feeling the burn travel down my throat. "Both," I answered dryly. She gave a small laugh, but her face remained strained. "I don't know how you're keeping it together right now." "Who says I am?" Throughout the evening, I could feel my father's gaze drifting toward me periodically. He didn't want me here, and I knew it. I was a blemish on his perfect picture. But Emma had insisted, and he had reluctantly included me, probably assuming I would decline. I was about to order another drink when my father did something that would effectively end his perfect evening and his spotless reputation. He tapped his glass with a spoon. The ballroom fell silent. William cleared his throat, offering that warm, practiced smile he always used in hospital boardrooms and charity events. "First of all, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," he began. "This is a special day, not just for me, but for Jennifer. We're so blessed to have such wonderful family and friends to celebrate this new chapter of our lives." Polite applause followed. I clenched my jaw. The new chapter, as if my mother's life, the previous chapter, was a book he was eager to close. "Of course," he continued, "I want to acknowledge my children, Emma and Nathan." My stomach tightened. They've gone through a lot this past year, and I know how difficult transitions can be. But Emma, sweetheart, you've been such a strong, beautiful soul through it all. I couldn't be prouder of the woman you've become. Emma gritted her teeth and managed a smile. My father then turned to me. "And Nathan," he offered. I gave him a blank stare in return. He continued, his voice smooth and rehearsed. "I know we've had our differences, but family is family. And in the spirit of unity, I'd love for you to say a few words." My body froze. The room went silent. Emma looked as shocked as I felt. My father gave me an encouraging smile. "Come on, son. Don't be difficult." His words felt like a punch to the gut. Suddenly, something inside me snapped. I stood up slowly, picking up my glass. The room waited expectantly. I took a deep breath. Here's to the woman who was sleeping with my dad while my mom was dying of cancer. The effect was instantaneous. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Silverware clattered against china. My father's best friend, Dr. James Wilson, fumbled with his champagne flute, dropping it to the floor where it shattered spectacularly. Jennifer's perfect smile vanished as all color drained from her face. Then all hell broke loose. What the Nathan? Jennifer's voice cut through the stunned silence like a knife. The room erupted in whispers. Did he just say? Oh my God. William's face darkened. Sit down. I remained standing. No. Anger flashed in his eyes. You have no idea what you're talking about. Really? I laughed bitterly. Because I remember Mom crying herself to sleep when you'd work late. I remember the mysterious text messages, the hotel receipts, the perfume on your clothes that wasn't hers. I remember everything. Jennifer's hands curled into fists. You're lying. Am I? I retorted. Because last time I checked, mistresses don't typically get wedding rings while the wife is still breathing. Beside me, Emma choked back a sob. Enough, my father roared. You will not ruin this night. I smirked. Ruin it? Dad, you ruined it. You ruined us, and you don't even care. The tension in the room was suffocating. Then, the officiant, my father's longtime friend and pastor, stood up, removed his glasses, and sighed deeply. You know what? I'm done, he murmured and walked out of the wedding reception. The whispers became full-blown conversations. Several guests stood awkwardly, unsure whether to stay or leave. Seething, William turned to me. Get out. I carefully placed my glass on the table. Gladly, I left the reception without looking back, my father's perfect wedding in flames behind me. My heart pounded in my ears as I exited the ballroom. The grand hallway outside was lined with ornate mirrors and expensive flower arrangements, reflecting back the face of a man who had finally spoken his truth. I needed air. With shaking hands, I pushed open the heavy doors to the outdoor terrace. The crisp autumn night hit my flushed skin like a slap. I gripped the stone railing, holding on until my knuckles turned white, and took deep breaths. Everything seemed peaceful out here, in stark contrast to the chaos I'd left behind. I had just burned my father's entire wedding to the ground after he'd called me difficult in front of 200 people. I exhaled, my breath visible in the cool night air. Was I supposed to feel bad? I felt relieved. Angry. Somewhere in between. Nathan. I turned at the sound of my sister's voice. Emma had followed me onto the terrace, her heels clicking against the stone. Her eyes were glassy with tears, her cheeks flushed. You okay? I asked quietly. She laughed unsteadily. Am I okay? I should be asking you that. I ran a hand across my face and looked away. I don't know, Emma. I couldn't let him get away with it. You didn't, she said softly. Believe me, you didn't. I glanced at her quickly. Was I out of line? She snorted. Out of line? Nathan, you just nuked Dad's wedding. I think out of line is a bit of an understatement. I exhaled sharply. Yeah. She folded her arms across her chest and leaned against the railing beside me. She tilted her head thoughtfully. I mean, I probably wouldn't have done it that way, but I don't blame you. Not even a little. Silence fell between us, with only the distant city lights blinking in the darkness. After a while, Emma whispered, Do you think Mom would have wanted this? I swallowed the lump in my throat. Yeah, I murmured. I think she would have. She nodded, blinking rapidly. I took her hand and gave it a gentle squeeze. Are they still in there? I asked. She drew a shaky breath and glanced back at the doors. Oh yeah, the guests are still whispering. Dad's trying to do damage control, but it's bad. Jennifer looked like she was going to explode. And the pastor actually left, like, straight up walked out. A dry laugh escaped me. Good. Emma grinned. Honestly. Yeah. Suddenly, the door behind us creaked open. We both turned to see our father, William Parker, standing there. His jaw was clenched so tightly I thought his teeth might shatter, his face taut with barely contained rage. He had unbuttoned his tuxedo jacket as if he'd yanked it open in frustration. His hands were balled into fists at his sides. Emma, he said in a quiet, controlled voice. Go inside. She stiffened. No. His gaze shifted to mine. I stepped forward, positioning myself between them. She stays. His nostrils flared, but his voice remained even. I don't want to do this here. I scoffed. Oh, now you care about appearances? Pretty sure that ship sailed when you called me difficult in front of 200 people. He clenched his jaw. You humiliated me. I laughed without humor. You humiliated yourself, Dad. You could have just let me sit there in silence, but no. You had to drag me into it. You had to make me play along with your little fairy tale. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. You had no right to do what you did. I met his gaze unflinchingly. And you had no right to do what you did. His eyes darkened. You don't understand. Don't. I cut him off sharply. Don't you dare try to justify it. I was there, Dad. I saw what it did to her. I saw Mom waste away in that hospital bed while you were off with her. Beside me, Emma took a sharp breath, but remained silent. William exhaled slowly, as if trying to regain control. You don't know what my marriage to your mother was like. My blood ran cold. Excuse me. His face hardened. Nathan, it wasn't perfect. He trailed off, shaking his head. There were problems long before Jennifer. I stared at him in shock, then exploded. You don't get to do that. You don't get to rewrite history just to make yourself feel better. She loved you. She trusted you. And you repaid her by cheating while she was dying. His lips thinned to a line. I was unhappy. I actually laughed. You were unhappy? Do you have any idea how much pain Mom was in? How she clung to the hope that maybe, you still loved her. And you were what? Bored. William's expression darkened. Watch it. No. I shouted. You watch yourself. Because I'm done letting you pretend you're some kind of victim here. You made a choice, Dad. You chose Jennifer over Mom. Over us. Silence fell. For the first time in my life, I saw something that almost looked like guilt cross my father's face. But it vanished too quickly. Instead, he smoothed a hand down his tuxedo and straightened. When he spoke again, his voice was ice. If you walk away from me now, you walk away for good. Is that what you want? I stared at him. Even now, he thought he could intimidate me back into line. He didn't understand that, having already lost my mother, I wasn't afraid of losing him at all. I squared my shoulders and met his gaze with certainty. Yes, that's exactly what I want, if that's what it takes. Beside me, Emma gasped quietly, but didn't try to stop me. William's expression didn't change. If anything, his face retreated further behind an unreadable mask, only his jaw tightening. Then don't come crawling back when you regret it, he said. I shook my head and let out a breath. I won't. With that, I turned and walked away. After a moment's hesitation, Emma followed. We didn't look back once. Emma and I moved away from our father, the cool air stinging my skin, everything inside me churning. My breath was shallow, my legs felt heavy, but I kept walking. My father didn't call after us. He didn't try to stop me. Good. I didn't expect him to. William Parker wasn't the type to chase after anything he'd given up on. Emma and I reached the side entrance of the hotel, where a few employees were smoking. They were too busy gossiping about whatever drama was unfolding inside the ballroom to pay us any attention as we passed. Emma hugged herself and sniffled beside me. You okay? I asked, my voice softer. She shook her head and laughed dryly. Am I okay, Nathan? I don't even know what just happened in there. She stopped walking and turned to face me. Do you realize what you just did? I ran a hand through my hair. Yeah, I do. She searched my face. And do you regret it? I paused for just a moment. No, I answered honestly. Not even a little. Emma nodded, releasing a shaky breath. Yeah, me neither. The sounds of distant traffic filled the silence between us as we stood there. Then Emma laughed again, a genuine laugh. A gasping, somewhat incredulous laugh. My God, Nathan. The pastor walked out. Despite myself, I smiled. Yeah, that was something. She continued shaking her head, still smiling. Then her face grew serious. What do we do now? I exhaled and looked up at the night sky over Boston. I don't know, but I'm not going back in there. Emma glanced toward the hotel entrance and bit her lip. Music and muffled voices still filled the air. Should we just leave? She asked. I looked at her. Should we stay? She considered this, then nodded. Fair point. We turned to head for the parking lot, when suddenly the door behind us opened. Nathan. We spun around. It was Jennifer. The bottom of her wedding dress, an elegant, form-fitting gown with intricate beadwork, was hitched up as if she'd almost run after us. Her face was contorted with anger. Her makeup remained flawless, but her carefully styled blonde hair was slightly disheveled. Emma groaned softly. Oh, for heaven's sake. Jennifer marched toward us, her heels clicking furiously against the pavement. She stopped, jabbing a manicured finger into my chest. Nathan Parker, you ruined my wedding. I tilted my head. Did I? Or did you ruin your own life when you decided to get involved with a married man? Her eyes blazed. You arrogant little. Careful, I warned. Wouldn't want a guest to hear the blushing bride throwing a tantrum. She stamped her foot. Really? You think this is funny? You think humiliating us in front of everyone was some kind of victory for you? I folded my arms. I think it was the truth. Something neither of you seems to be familiar with. Her nose wrinkled in disgust. You selfish little brat. Beside me, Emma inhaled sharply. Whoa. Jennifer stepped forward. Your father gave you everything. He built a life for you. And this is how you repay him. I exhaled slowly, deliberately. You want to talk about repayment, Jennifer? My mother spent 22 years loving a man who betrayed her while she was fighting for her life. And you? I gestured at her. You were part of it. You don't get to stand here in your stolen wedding dress and play the victim. She opened and closed her mouth, but nothing came out. Emma whispered a quiet damn. Jennifer recovered quickly. Your father doesn't deserve this. He's been through enough. Something inside me snapped. He's been through enough? I repeated, my voice harder, angrier. Do you hear yourself? My mother died, and you think he was the one who suffered? Jennifer's expression twisted. Eleanor. Don't. I cut her off sharply. Don't say her name. She faltered. I stepped forward, lowering my voice. You don't get to pretend you cared about her. You don't get to act like this wedding was some beautiful new beginning when we all know what it really is. Jennifer swallowed hard, her jaw tightening. You're just another chapter in a book of lies, I said, my voice deadly calm. For the first time that evening, she was speechless. Emma folded her arms. Are we done here? A thin line formed on Jennifer's lips. Without another word, she turned on her heel and stormed back toward the hotel. Wow, murmured Emma. That was dramatic. I exhaled slowly. Yeah, I'm exhausted. She gave me a searching look. Are you really okay? I paused. I don't know, I said, but I think I will be. She nodded slowly, then smirked. So, since we're already dressed up and out in the city, want to go get some overpriced cocktails somewhere fancy and pretend we belong there? A small smile tugged at my mouth. That might be the best idea you've had all night. She linked her arm through mine. Then let's get out of here. We left the ruins of my father's wedding behind and walked away from the Belmont Hotel. For the first time in a long time, I felt free. As Emma and I strolled down the busy Boston street, the bustle of the city surrounded us. I welcomed the brisk air. I needed any chance to clear my head. Emma linked her arm through mine. Are you really going to be okay? I breathed out slowly. I think so. She shrugged. Honestly, I thought I'd feel guilty. I thought I'd be panicking about how we just set Dad's life on fire. She trailed off, then smiled. But I feel amazing. I laughed softly. Good. We eventually found a cocktail lounge in Beacon Hill, an upscale establishment populated by people who looked like they belonged on magazine covers. We definitely didn't fit in, but Emma insisted, and I figured we deserved something luxurious after everything we'd just been through. After ordering 2 ridiculously expensive drinks and sliding into a leather booth near the back, we let the night settle around us. After a while, Emma stirred her martini and said, You know he's going to come after us, right? I nodded. Yeah, but I don't care. She grinned. So what's next? I sipped my bourbon slowly. We finished what we started. And that's exactly what we did. By the next morning, my father's wedding had gone viral. Emma and I woke up to our phones exploding with missed calls, texts, and social media notifications. The scandal had spread like wildfire. Apparently, my toast had been recorded by several of the guests. Once someone posted it online, the internet did what it does best. The video was everywhere. Surgeon's son exposes affair at wedding. Boston doctor's big day turns into public meltdown. Brutal wedding toast calls out father's infidelity, and we are here for it. Emma nearly choked on her coffee when she saw the headlines. Holy cow, Nathan. We broke the internet. I scrolled through the comments on one of the videos. Justice for Eleanor. Imagine being called out like this on your wedding day. Couldn't be me. LOL, the pastor walking out was the most iconic part. You love to see karma working in real time. I couldn't help but laugh. At last, the world was seeing my father's true colors. Emma continued scrolling. Do you think Dad has seen it yet? Right on cue, my phone rang. William Parker flashed on the screen. I let it ring. Emma raised an eyebrow. You're not going to answer? I sipped my coffee. Nope. She smiled. Cold. I like it. But I wasn't finished yet. Over the next few days, my father's pristine reputation began to crumble. His hospital, which prided itself on integrity, was not pleased with the controversy. Patients started distancing themselves. No one wanted to be associated with him. Then, more rumors began circulating. People started digging. Jennifer wasn't the only affair. It turned out there were others. Several. Some had been going on for years before Mom's illness. Emma and I didn't need to do anything more. The internet did the work for us. A week later, my father took a leave of absence from the hospital. Jennifer deleted all her social media accounts a week after that. The icing on the cake came when Jennifer left him. The backlash and humiliation were too much for her to handle. She had signed up for a life of luxury, wealth, and status. She hadn't signed up to be the woman in that viral wedding video. So she packed her bags and walked out of his life, just 2 months after their disastrous wedding. Poetic justice. One afternoon, Emma and I visited Mom's grave. It was quiet there, peaceful. The rows of headstones were bathed in golden light as the sun began to set. I brushed away some fallen leaves and placed a bouquet of fresh daisies, her favorites, beside her headstone. "Hey, Mom," I whispered. "You won't believe what we did." Emma, kneeling beside me, laughed softly. "Yeah, you would have loved it." As I gazed at her name etched in stone, I exhaled. For the first time in a long time, I felt like I could breathe, as if we had finally given her the justice she never got while she was alive. I have no regrets. William Parker made one attempt at reconciliation, a voicemail, half-hearted and pitiful. "Nathan, I know things got out of hand, but you're still my son. We should talk." I deleted it without listening to the others. I moved forward with Emma by my side. As for my father, last I heard, he was living alone in a condo downtown. His reputation was in tatters. His career was in shambles. And honestly, I couldn't have imagined a more satisfying form of retribution. For the first time in my life, I was free, and that was enough.